Welcome to this week's episode of the Feeney Call. Tonight we are bringing on Jaden and Lucas Chapman, father and son duo out of the London area, I believe. They can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Jaden is driving the number 13 Pro late model. It's a very familiar gold, black, and red design, unless he's changed it on me from what I've seen on pictures. Lucas is changing from the little bit of a light show though for you. Changing from the junior truck division, I believe it is. Not exactly sure what they're called. They're like a junior late model, but it's a pickup truck. Um, and he's moving up to the kid stock at the Grand Bend Speedway. So we're going to get to talk to them about the kid stock program that they have going up that way, which I think is great. Getting kids into full size cars, get them used to a little bit heavier piece of equipment, a little bit more horsepower before they start moving up into mini stocks, thunder cars, super stocks, street stocks, whatever classes they have going up there. Um, I do like the stepping stones personally if kids starting in a smaller car and working their way up. Um, for me, I didn't race this weekend, so there's no weekly race update like there has been the last couple weeks. But I did go watch the APC and quick races at Peterborough Speedway. I was helping my dad a little bit. He was having issues with the truck. Finally got the truck running just for it to break something else. It's been a rough season for dad already. But APC slash Quick series has introduced the choose cone, I think, for the first time at Peterborough Speedway. Um, I've heard good and bad reviews, or not heard. I've seen it on Facebook. Some guys are criticizing the choose cone. Some guys are calling it okay. Here's my personal stance on it from the choose in Legend Cars. Um, Legend Cars, we had the same thing. There was no cone, no nothing. You chose at the start finish line. And there seemed to be some people playing a game of driving down the middle of the track and not actually making a left or right motion at the line. They were waiting until they caught the pack and picking the shortest line once they could see where they were going. Some people that got caught doing it were pushing high and then realizing they were actually going to be the same spot, so they dropped low, or vice versa. They'd cut low and then realize they could gain 6 spots by going to the high groove and try to get away with it. Those people there were caught when they did that, but I think a few guys were not caught doing the mid groove thing. Um, with that being said, how can you solve this problem? Um, there's one of two ways, really. You can put a cone or marking on the track, and you have to go to the left or the right of it, plain and simple. I think most of the tracks now, like Sunset, have the choose cone on the track already. Peterborough Speedway is talking about it. Um, but that would solve that. If you got to go to the left or right of that marking, you go over it, you go to the tail end of the longs line. Plain and simple. You don't like it? Pick. Like if it's like blatantly obvious that you're going left and like you clip a tire or something on it, okay, whatever, that is what it is. But if you go dead nuts over the center of it, you go to the back of the line. Plain and simple. Um, here's my stance on it. I like the choose cone because as a guy in the legend cars, I was not a top tier car. Um, you'd have 20 cars that would choose the bottom at Peterborough. It's you'd have 4 or 5 guys go to the top of the lane of a 25 car field. You'd have 20 cars on the bottom and 5 on the top. Why is that? Because the groove isn't quite as good at Peterborough on the outside groove. Yes, they've put PJ1 compound down, stuff like that, and it has made it better. But the problem is a lot of people still have the mentality of you're going to go backwards. So they want that inside groove. They've given up any chance to race and get down, and that's what they've chosen. That's fine. But there's a lot of times, I've done it personally, where you use the excuse of I had like 3, 4 restarts on the outside. It cost me positions, cost me positions, cost me positions. Well, this eliminates that excuse. If you have the choose cone, you get to choose where you restart. You have picked your poison. So if you've picked your poison and you want to run the inside 3 rows farther back than you're supposed to start, thinking it's going to be a net gain, go ahead, start there. But if that guy that's now picked up 7 spots to go to the outside because you guys are all lining up on the inside and gets down in front of you, he chose high risk, high reward, and it paid off. Every other car had the choice in front of him to go up to the high lane. So you guys chose the bottom side. So if you're complaining that some of them got free spots, which I seen that was the biggest complaint on J.R. Fitzpatrick's post. Not bashing J.R. or anything like that. I like the guy. But that's the biggest thing is people were getting free spots. It was offered to them too. If they thought it was as good as a spot, why didn't they just go start up on the top? JR went and did it a few times. Went up start, freaking fell back and stayed down, I think, bottom the last couple of restarts. Where guys like Danny Benedict went to the top and were able to finish in front of him. So it's some people could work that high side better than others. Some had issues. It also depends on the restart you get. So if the guy in the front row checks up the inside row, that's all of a sudden the outside row can clear. So every restart, no matter where you are, there's a little bit of luck involved because racing incidents do happen. We're going to probably talk to Jaden because that was one of the fan questions about what his opinion on the cheese cone was. He was over helping with the Joe Lawrence 78 APC late model. And we're going to bring on Jaden and Lucas Chapman here in a few moments. And maybe you guys can leave some comments and tell me what you guys think about the choose rule that you've seen this weekend. All right. This week joining us on episode number 8 of the Feeney Call is Redline Motorsports, which is Lucas Chapman and Jaden Chapman. How are you guys doing today?
Sorry, you buffered there for a second.
Yeah, I was just introducing you guys and asking how you guys are doing today.
Good, how are you?
Good. Lucas is being quiet there. It looks like it might be close to his bedtime, or maybe he's been working on his new car a little too long.
He's a little shy, but he's working on the car today, right, buddy?
So let's talk about Lucas's new car first. He's moving into the kid stock program at the Grand Bend Speedway. This is something we don't have this end of the province, like a kids division in the bone stocks, the pure stocks. So why don't you guys explain what that's all about to some people that don't know?
So I believe Gordon owned Full Throttle Speedway. He had a kid stock division. I think he called it the rookie stock. Now, of course, Gord's gone on to Grand Bend Speedway, and they decided to bring it in this year, and it's up to just 14 in a 4-cylinder bone stock rule class. And when we asked what the starting age was, and all we got back was as long as the child or kid can fit in the vehicle and operate the vehicle safely. And they just run off of a bone stock rule book.
So you guys were up practicing last weekend or during the middle of this week with the car, or?
Yeah, we were testing with it.
So Lucas, what did you think of the new car? Because you were driving, what was it, trucks last year or the year before?
You being shy, you're gonna use your words. I have a few minutes to talk. He absolutely loved
So let's talk about your car, which is sitting behind you there. That's the Pro Late model that you're going to be starting your season soon up at Sauble Speedway.
it. Yep.
So why don't you tell us some of
Yeah,
the? Sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
So why don't you tell us some of the things that you've done to that car compared to last year to because you'll be running, is that the United Eights up there? Or is it a Pro
It's
Late package?
actually Double brought back the Pro Lake Division program. So they actually have Glenn, the tech director from Flamborough, as a tech guy up at Sauble as well. So their rule book is a hybrid between the Flamborough rule book and an APC series rule book. So if you run APC series rules, your car applies. So our car's an APC So as a backup, if something were to happen to Joe Lawrence's APC ride.
So, are you excited to go up to Sauble Beach from Delaware Speedway and Farnborough Speedway, stuff like that? Like, is it a new venture for you, or?
So I ran Sauble off and on a few years, like just did invitationals with our old super stock. And actually, it was the second race ever with this car after we built it. We went up and ran there and had some success. And we ran a legend car there last year a couple times, some success. We just love the track. We love the atmosphere. We love the area. And I always told Sauble that if they were to bring back a Pro Late division, we would do anything we could to help promote it, to build it, because if we're to have a racetrack, you have cars on track.
So they're bringing the Pro Late division back, and then they still have the United Eights and the combined fours, I think they call it. This is a couple of series I don't quite understand because I just haven't run with them yet. Is there any chance that Lucas here, when he gets a little bit better, starts to go up and run the combined fours if they allow him, or?
So I know at the Toronto Motorama this year, Pops Campbell, that's running in the United Fours this year, absolutely wants Lucas to come up once he gets comfortable, but it all depends on their insurance because Lucas is only 9 years old.
Yeah. And I think most tracks, it's kind of a weird rule with insurance. Is for some are like they'll let the kid stock go, where I think Peterborough it's like they got to be 16 or something like that. Or unfortunately, insurance is necessary, but it's sometimes a killer of fun.
And we just what you have to jump through all the hoops, and we'll just take what we can get.
You got to cut through that red tape sometimes. But so Lucas, with the new car, what are you looking forward to learn compared to the smaller truck that you used to run?
What do you think? I think you excited to be able to use brakes. Was
So
one thing he hated in the trucks.
So with the trucks, why don't you explain what they are for us? Because I know the junior late models, but I haven't seen the junior trucks run.
So the trucks are essentially they're like a junior late model, but they have full suspension. So they have coilover shocks. They have like a wishbone style rear suspension, hold the engine, everything mounts in a cradle, then it's suspended by shocks and everything. And they run a 13 horse Honda that's built to the spec for the class. And I believe this year they're actually gone as far as they put them on bump stops, which is insane. So those trucks are a momentum based truck, just like a junior late. They hold the throttle to the floor and they just build no momentum and hold it wide open all the way around. That's one thing Lucas has always struggled with is he thinks racing you should be letting off and rolling and using the brakes and letting the car roll, and he never liked the feeling of just holding it wide open and running around.
Yeah, it's one of those Talladega kind of feelings if you just hold it wide open. And like when you're setting up the big cars, you know this is as he's going to learn as he gets into the kid stock there. You can set cars up two different ways. You can set them up for entry to the middle kind of thing, or you can set the middle off. It's really hard to get a car that works in all three parts of the corner. So like you can pick like where you find your most of your advantage, like as you especially working with like a kid stock, like or a bone stock, because there's not a lot you can do other than add a little bit of camber to the right front. But I'm finding that people are moving up in the driver's stand. The ones that start in the four cylinders and learn how to muscle those cars around and wheel and how to make momentum happen, they end up usually further ahead in their driving skills.
Yeah, we'll see with this car. My started race had a bent up manual Monte Carlo, and my dad made me learn how to drive that. He says, "We're not doing anything to this car, learn how to muscle it." So this Cobalt, we've deliberately set it up in a manner that he's going to have to learn how to muscle it. And once he figures that out, then we'll start applying the speed. You have to learn to walk before you can run.
Yeah, that's very true, and I think that's going to be very beneficial for Lucas growing up. I know he's a bit shy right now, but we'll get him talking soon. So
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
but
Well, for a 9 year old, he does do a lot of the setup. Like people don't realize that the front of my late model, he does all the bump steering and everything on it.
Yeah, he can
He's
probably
not afraid of scaling and setting up.
yeah, he can probably do more setup stuff than I can.
Yeah.
So
Well, I didn't realize this until this year how much he's picked up. We went to the opening night at Delaware, and we're helping a couple teams when we're down there. And he's standing in the middle of 3 and 4 with me, and he was pointing out that, oh, that car's got a little too much wheel in at the center. He's a little tight. He should raise the pan harder or stiffen up his spring. Like, I didn't realize how much of a sponge he's been the past couple of years.
yeah, and I've seen him welding his seat bracket in the other day on Facebook, and
Oh
that's
yeah, he loves welding.
which you know what for kids growing up, I'm glad to see he's working hard on his car. He's learning, he's setting stuff up. It's not just get in and drive thing, which I think is very valuable once again because he's going to learn exactly how much you bend a fender, how much it's going to do to be to fix it, which it's going to bring some respect with him too. So
Well, we're a firm believer in if we were going to get him into this horrible, horrible hobby that's just kills your pocketbook, we're trying to use it to as a teaching tool. So we're trying to teach him all skills that he can carry over into the future. We're trying to he actually has a book with his budget. So he has to keep his budget throughout the season, figure out his needs and wants and how he can spend his money. So this way, hopefully he can carry on to the future when he's older, adult, learning like, okay, well, I want this, but I actually need this.
yeah, that's a good way of teaching because like I can tell you personally, I jumped into the late models 2019 or 18 racing against Dan McCaddy at Peterborough Speedway, and I just started trying to catch him, spending money. I looked at my freaking budget and I was way too much in the hole, like to the point I'm still recovering from to this day. So like teaching youth about like you got to stick to this budget. You got to pick speed parts or like reliability parts. Sometimes it's not about having the top tier piece that's like brand new and fancy. Sometimes it's about having the piece that will last you the rest of the season. That's
Yeah.
actually a healthy way to teach them, I believe.
Well, you could
So
really see when he applied it his rookie year running the truck, he backed the truck into the wall and bent the rear clip and everything. Took him about a month to put it all back together. Because the other thing is you wreck it. If you want to race it, you're working on it. I'll help him out as long as he shows the initiative to work on it. Well, when he's all done, got the truck back together, we went out and he was 2 seconds off the pace. And we're trying to figure out something wrong with the truck, and he just doesn't look great. Well, he came in, we talked to him. And I said, "Why are you going so slow? Like, what's wrong with the truck?" He says, "There's nothing wrong with the truck. I can't afford to keep racing if I wreck it."
yeah,
So we
that
had to
that's
have the conversation of, okay, you have to find the fine line and balance. You can't be so scared you're not going to drive it, but you have to keep up with it.
yeah, it's I kind of deal with the same thing at Peterborough because it's like the one groove track, and I sit there and if I start sticking the nose in, it's like, and I see the guy chopping down whether I'm there or not. It's like, all right, that fender costs $220. Is a heat race worth it? No, back out of it. Is it the last lap of the race? We're staying there. Um, there's certain times that you have to be willing to put a little couple marks in the card because sometimes rubbing's racing, but sometimes it's not worth it or it's not necessary. So it's a great that you're teaching them to work on everything and respect everything. But let's talk a little bit more about your car behind us here.
Mhm.
So what are some of the things that you're going through for like maintenance and stuff like that working on your car?
So with our car, we're very big on maintenance. So after every race, we always, I believe my wife and I spend 40 hours a week and Lucas as well in the shop on top of our regular jobs after each race, turning the car around because we pull everything out and inspect it. Like we pull hubs out, inspect bearings, we pull transmission out and check the transmission. We go over everything. We always compression test, leak down the engine, make sure it's staying healthy. Just we go off of the 5 P's of proper preparation prevents piss poor performance.
So there's gonna be a few people writing that down that are watching the podcast because I noticed that if you watch a lot of bone stocks and stuff, if you can even see my mini stock at the track, it's a what I call a side piece. But there's a lot of people that don't understand why they're not running well in bone stocks and stuff like that, but their car just sits at the trailer or sits at the track. what are some things you can tell people maybe they're starting in like the kids division or bone stock stuff? It's like what they can do to help, make their program faster because you are very good with preparation and stuff like that.
Biggest thing is notes. If you go out and you run, take your notes, figure out what your tire pressures are, and when you come in, if you make a change, record it, but don't just record the change. After you go out and run it, record what that change made the car do.
So you were at Peterborough the Speedway this week as they implemented the change rule or the choose your line rule, I guess what it is. But Donovan Price asked me what your opinion is on it. So we're gonna get your opinion on what you think the rule is like and how they can maybe make it go cleaner as two separate topics. Because I mentioned in the intro that I'm a fan of the rule because if you go to Peterborough Speedway, there's always well, I had 3 outside restarts excuse and I've lost so many positions. Now you choose your own fate. But there were some guys running down the middle of the track and just picking where they were going to be when they got to the shortest line.
Yeah. Like the rule itself, it can make for exciting racing. It just needs to be refined a little bit. Like there's just certain things they can do to refine it as opposed to right now, it's just get to the start finish line and you pick. They don't tell everybody to go to the bottom, so then you can distinctively see the drivers move up into the high lane, or vice versa. They tell everybody stay high and then drop down. So if they refine it, I believe it can make for some interesting racing because Sean Chenoweth won huge on that last night. That he got moved at the beginning of the race, fell to the back, and he took the chance to move up to the top group when nobody else did. And I think he picked up almost 10 positions.
Yeah, I was saying that, and I was watching J.R. Fitzpatrick post. Like I mentioned in the intro, I like the guy. But he had the opinion of free spots. But I feel like it's not free spots because everyone had the opportunity before him to choose that lane. But they all thought they
Mhm.
would have a net loss by going up there. So you still have to work for your spots, and your best bet is a caution comes out early.
Mhm.
That's what you're hoping for. But what do you think? Do you think people are getting free spots from this choose rule, or do you think it just is what it is?
It's hard. I can see where JR is coming from on that, but with the APC series being so tight in times right now, I don't know if you can really call it a free spot, especially a track like Peterborough, where track position is everything. So if you can take that advantage to get by the car, and you've been running with that car bumper to bumper, but you just don't have enough speed to clear them, but you have the same speed, why not take that chance? Like last night with Joe Lawrence, we could have taken the bottom every restart, but we continually took the top as a chance to see what would happen. And we almost cleared Stackley at one point, and then we got caution just as we're getting ready to clear him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he cleared him, and they had to put him. Actually, I think he was in the lead on the outside, but they went back a lap during the caution. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it just wasn't Joe's luck because he looked a little bit faster than Scott at the late running the race, but just some bad timing. And Joe's not the kind of guy that'll just go up and move him, which I appreciate because I'm not a big fan of people going up and junking runs, let's call it. Like I don't mind if you
Yeah.
wiggle a guy up and stuff like that. That's kind of is what it is. But where's your stance on what you're seeing lately with the dump and runs and stuff like that? Obviously, as a guy that has to fix his own car.
So I've commonly said towards the end of last year and this year, I feel the respect in racing has gone out the window on local Friday night and Saturday night short track racing. APC is an anomaly right now because they're running clean, very respectful, unlike years past. But if you look at Delaware this year, it's just been, I've never been so happy to not be at a racetrack. I love Delaware. It's my home track. Absolutely love the track. But racers aren't respecting other racers anymore. I think last day, almost half the field was wrecked. And I was talking to the guys at McCall's today, and they're going to have a busy week trying to get these cars back together. There's complete cars getting cut in half to be repaired.
So, what do you think we can do to fix this to get respectful racing back?
it's gonna start. The tracks are just gonna have to start cracking down harder and actually leveling. Like if you're going to continually do this, we're going to start penalizing or suspending. They're going to have to do something to the extreme. Like for instance, Grand Bend Speedway, they went extreme. They're having an issue with car count a couple weeks ago, and they had I think three sprint cars and two bone stocks at practice, like ready to practice for the night. They decided to cancel the races, and it opened a lot of eyes. And now their counts up through the roof again, from what I'm understanding. We haven't been there yet just because we've been at APC and whatnot. But by doing something that extreme, really opened the eye of the racer.
So, what's I know you posted your schedule on Facebook, but why don't you give us a little bit of schedule for Lucas and yourself where people can come find your race?
So right now, if we're just running the Stable Pro late, the late model. I'm not sure the dates off the top of my head. And then we'll just do this. Technology is awesome.
Keeping your cell phone close is always handy.
Yeah, we either love technology or we hate it. There we go. So right now, Lucas's tentative schedule for Grand Bend Speedway. The kind of neat thing is these Thursday nights. They're running these rookie stocks on Thursday nights because they're trying to utilize Grand Bend's tourist attraction. So you're at the beach all day long during the week or on a Saturday night and nothing else to do, come to the racetrack and see the show. So because first race was June 9th, oh sorry, 20th, and then July July 27th, August 3rd, August 10th, and September 7th. All at Grand Bend on Thursday nights, and the racing for that starts at 7:30. And then for us up at Sawbull in the Pro Late, we're running June 24th, which is this coming Saturday, July 8th, July 29th, August 19th, and September 2nd.
So, I also noticed today that you guys posted you just got some merchandise in. Is that just the redline merch, or you got like separate stuff for the Pro Late and Lucas has his own stuff, or is it all one
So
team?
currently currently have the Pro Late 13 shirts right now from MPH Customs. We are currently working on getting Lucas some merch. We're just small team, small budget, so we're just trying to get what we can and just be nice to see some of our merch sitting up in the stands.
Yeah. It's always nice to see picture of your car sitting on the best was I got a buddy down the States that bought one of my shirts off the Epic website, and I was sitting there watching a race, I think it was the SRX series. And he's there at the SRS race with my shirt on and looking at the stands. I'm like, that's my shirt. Everyone's like, how do you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I know my shirts. Like when you have merch and stuff like that, you can spot it from anywhere, and it usually starts a conversation. Especially you go to, like, if I go down to Flamborough and I see someone wearing my shirt, and I don't normally run down at Flamborough, I'll try to sit there and have a conversation with them because they either like me or for whatever reason they found it at Goodwill, whatever. But then at least I get a conversation starter out of it. But
Mhm.
so is it just the t-shirts you guys have right now, or do you guys have like other merchandise? Where can people buy them, the
Um,
shirts and everything off you?
we currently just got the t-shirts. We are working on other stuff. It's just until we were so hammered down trying to get car put together for Lucas, get everything else done on the Pro Late. We just have only had time just to get these shirts ordered for right now. But we are working more, and we'll keep everybody updated on our Facebook page.
All right. So why don't you take a few minutes here to thank some of your sponsors, and we'll get Lucas to thank some of his sponsors, or you can thank them if he's still being shy over there.
Yeah. So a lot of Lucas is pretty fortunate. All of sponsors that we carry on the Pro Late, they all, as soon as we announced Lucas was getting a race car, they all called us and said, "We're going on Lucas's car too." So a lot of our partners carry over, right? Mm. So like our title sponsor is always Aqua Auto Parts. They've been with us for, I believe this is our 13th season with them, and they're just a locally owned auto part dealer here in Sarnia. They're an APC affiliate. Then our secondary sponsor is Tech Heat Treatment. They Another great franchise here in Sarnia. We had Lug Nuts Truck and Trailer Repair come on board this year. We have St. Germain Auto Body, as always, making sure the car's paint looks amazing. we were firm believers in paint over wrap. It always looks a little cleaner. We have DT Freight Express, Ainsworth, well, not Ainsworth anymore, sorry. We have interface testing, Hills cleaning service, Crystal Clears cleaning service, Fastenal, and Klondike lubricants. And I might be forgetting somebody, but I'm sorry if I am. And like I said, Lucas has pretty much everybody the same, except for he has
Sarnia Auto Wreckers.
Sarnia Auto Wreckers is his title sponsor, and Joe's Tire, MPH Customs, and Pine Valley Minute Lube,
I was
and
gonna say,
Tracy Ellis PC.
I seen the Pine Valley came and approached you guys at the practice there.
Yes, Steve Arand is very back in the old Delaware Enduro days, and we've just always kept in contact. But I tried lending a helping hand whenever I can with his Pro Late division, the Pro Late team. So he decided to reciprocate the favor and came and helped out Lucas.
So, with all that being said, with you running your schedule, him running his schedule, is there any restrictions that you might have bringing, say, his car to Sauble if they allow him to run, or is there weeknights that you could do that where you can actually have like the off week and bring his car and then your car?
So we're working up with the sponsors we have that we get to free roll, like we can do whatever we want with how we are. Like Aqua Auto Parts, he approached when with him, he's like, I don't care how many times you race, as long as you're at my 2 car shows in the year. So as long as the budget's there, if we have the money sitting there, we'll go and try it. But right now we're just putting all our focus on getting the Sauble deal, and maybe towards the end of after the Sauble season, we might do some travel. Who knows? You might see us at Peterborough.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, is there any chance that like, is there like, say you're running pro late at Sauble and the combined fours are running there and they let Lucas run? Are you going to try to do like a double duty where you run your pro late and he can run his combined four kid stock if they let him run?
I'd like to, but just the logistics of getting a second trailer and everything to tow up there would be a little difficult. And if he were to go up and run Sauble, I'd like to be able to 100% focus on him and make sure he's comfortable. And it'd be a pretty big step for being so young to go up against some of those competitors. So I'd want me making sure I was fully invested in his program.
And he's probably over sitting there thinking, "Well, what can I do to make Dad's car faster?" Instead of working on his.
Yeah, he's always good about making sure this car's fast and looks good.
I should hire him for my car. Freaking, my car needs a lot of speed found in it right now. We're like 2/10 off, and I don't have a shop though. He's got to get used to working in a trailer.
Yeah, well, we just work out of a 1 car garage.
Yeah,
And we did,
I
well,
don't.
actually, his bone stock, he's working out of the enclosed trailer.
Yeah, so he's already used to working on a trailer.
Yeah, work out of the trailer, he'll roll it out and work on it in the driveway.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm changing shocks, everything in the trailer. Freaking, the toolbox is right there against the front of the car. Freaking, change both front shocks out. Freaking, so I can change all the fluid and stuff like that out. Have you taught him how to rebuild shock yet, and like how to do valving and stuff like that?
I'm really watching the shops and got friends like Joe Lawrence and Nick Sheridan that are both with shocks. You just tend to stick with those guys.
Oh, see here, I was hoping here you could set up my shock package on my car for me. So maybe I'm gonna send Lucas a bunch of videos of my car, and he can tell me what my car is doing wrong.
He loves helping.
Tell you what, buddy, if you come to the Peterborough Speedway, you're the honorary crew chief for the week. All right, we'll do whatever you say. But if it goes wrong, I got to blame you.
Oh, he can take it.
I have had that ongoing joke with Brock Baker, JBJ's son, when I was in the bone stocks and stuff like that. It was always, as drivers, we normally lie to ourselves. You know this. The car's tight in the center. No, it's loose entering, which then we cause it to tighten the center and stuff like that. So unless we have a video camera to basically back up what we're saying or to completely compound what we're saying to the other way, we lie to ourselves. Where someone on the outside can actually see like how he's seeing cars in the middle, like having too much wheel in it and stuff like that. Like I always let somebody tell me and then I'll try it. And if it makes the car worse, friggin' I just take it back out and try something else. But I think it'd be good to have a young, fresh set of eyes out there. Maybe he's got, maybe he's the next Cole Pern. Maybe he starts working with like some NASCAR guys as a crew chief.
Yeah, well, as long as he learn, the biggest thing is as long as he learns something every race. So all we care about is our big motto around here is if you learn something in a day or learn something at the track, it was a good day at the track. It's even better is when the car rolls into the trailer in one piece.
Yeah, if you can drive the car into the trailer, that's a good day. And
Yeah.
so I'm gonna call this night. I want to thank both of you guys for joining me on this episode of the Feeney Call. I'm gonna wish both of you the best of luck. I want you to keep us updated on how you guys do. Um, but I'm gonna give you a few minutes here, so where people can find you on social media, any YouTube pages, etc., like that, so people can follow your progress.
So we do mainly all our posting is on our Facebook page, Redline Motorsports. And then we do have a YouTube channel. We've been bad posting on it much. We're hoping to get back into the trend of posting on it routinely with our vlogs. Again, that's Redline Motorsports. Then you can also find myself on Instagram at Jaden Chapman 13.
So now that you have two got people basically running cars, do you start the GoPro for him driving? He starts the GoPro for you driving now?
My wife does it for both of us.
So
In
what you're
between
saying,
her doing tires and everything, she comes in and does that.
so what you're saying is if there's no more videos this year, it's her fault. All
Yes.
right.
I'm
So
trying to make her do some videos.
Yeah.
attaboy. Because well, I like watching in-car videos. It's even so like Joe Mo did a couple with my car or both my cars on opening night at Peterborough, which by the way, don't try to do double duty with a super stock and a mini stock. That was dumb. As I'm doing that
I've
pretty
done
much
a
the rest
Delaware
of
Pro Late in I've done Pro Late and Pure Stock in Delaware.
it is so hard to change driving styles that quickly. So
Mhm.
the opening night at Peterborough, I had to run the 50 lap mini stocker, which my mini stock is a Dodge Neon crap car, front wheel drive, freaking low horsepower, etc. But the super stock is rear wheel drive, etc. A coil car. But you go in and drive 50 laps in the mini stock with no power steering, freaking I'm wheeling it, spin it out, I think once or twice, and then literally have to park that car in lineup, jump in my other car, buckle up as everyone else is going back out to like go and like, all right, how far can I break this car again? It
Mm.
always hurts you first couple laps, but I think it's keeping me fresh. Actually, you were just driving the number 4 race for trades on Friday, weren't you?
Yep.
How was that car?
Yeah, well, the car's we got chased. It's got a bit of an issue. It seems down on power down the straightaway, but handles good. Miss Penny from BT Racing laughed at me because my first lap in the car, I looped the car. She says, "What are you, a rookie at this track? I know you got thousands of laps, but what are you, a rookie? Your first lap, you going to loop it?"
Uh, but if you don't loop the car, how do you know when you're pushing it to the edge?
Yeah, but we got it figured out. We worked on the car throughout the night, got some feedback, and I think Chris wants me to go out one more time in it, and then we'll be good with it.
So before I forget, because I forgot to ask you guys, why don't you list everything you've driven in motorsports? And Lucas, if he wants, he can list everything he's driven. And then I want to get one future thing that you guys want to do before you retire. You wanted to get it done, or before he's got a long way to go, but what's his goals to get to?
Right. So myself, I started out racing enduro series at Delaware, and for those that are aware, it's green flag or red flag. A wreck happens. If you're a red flag, driver got out of the car and the car is left on the track as an obstacle. And when I started racing, they were averaging 80 cars on the track at once at Delaware. And then as that division dwindled away, it evolved to the Delaware V8 stock series, the old V8 stock series, not the new breakout time format one. So we rotated and transitioned the car to that division. And we went and had some great success, moved up to the super stock, did not have any success in it at all. We had 2 years of pain. And then we moved over to the late model and we started with one late model. And we decided to build this car and sold our old late model to Broom and Hot Rod.
sticker on it.
Yeah, still has the sticker that you put on it. What'd you start out racing on?
Lawnmowers. When I don't know what my dad did. He hooked up on one bad thing. It made me go fast. I won each race.
Oh, one race, his throttle cable broke. And in a frantic at the track to get it put back together, I accidentally put the cable on the governor arm instead of the carburetor arm. So he was doing over 80 kilometers an hour on a riding lawnmower. Like it's built to race. And yeah, he lapped the field twice in a 7-lap race.
So what
I
you're saying is
lost
that's
in
the
a
new way.
point race. I lost in a point race, and except I won.
Yeah, well, it's because he got DQ'd. But then, yeah, then he transitioned to the mini truck, and now this kid's dog.
So
It's a thick shit.
so what's one division you'd like to try before you retire, and like where does he see himself wanting to get to uh through his career?
So me, anything that's got 4 wheels, I want to try. So if I ever had a chance to try Pinty's car once, even to practice it, I'd do it. My wife laughs at me and always yells at me and says no when I say I want to try a Isma Super, or if I even want to run Outlaw late model. But it's one of those, you go where the budget is, and right now we can just barely afford to do the Pro Late, so we'll stick to the Pro Late. It's not much cheaper anymore. What do you want to run?
Mustangs.
Yeah, but don't you want to drive this car one day? No, he's changed his mind. He just wants to stick to bone stock.
It's a lot easier to learn because mine is a stick shift. When we took it out, I got kind of easy.
Yeah, you got good at shifting it.
So I actually taught myself in 2014 how to drive standard with the race car. I had no idea how to drive it because I was not interested in cars and stuff like that until I started racing and derbying and stuff like that. So I taught myself. I bought a stick shift Sunfire with no idea how to drive it. I literally pulled it out of my driveway. I had to call the previous owner and be like, "How do I put this in reverse to get it back on my driveway?" Sitting in the middle of Main Street in town here. Yeah, don't drive your car up and down the roads unless at least your dad follows you. But yeah, so the way I would teach myself is if you stall in the pits, whatever. If you stall trying to like leave after the pace truck, that's embarrassing because everyone's watching. So I just did burnouts every single time for the first few weeks. But yeah, it's the good way to learn. Just don't burn out the clutch.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to fix that between weeks.
Well, he's been pretty impressive. We've been surprised at how well he picked up the clutch.
Yeah. So I want to see videos of your first race there, bud.
We'll get the YouTube going, right?
Yeah.
You tell
Mine is sneak and do it.
Always chirping.
Oh, he's got the chirping part of racing down. Now we'll wait to see how he drives these big cars, and who knows? Maybe if a couple years when he's old enough to drive at Peterborough, maybe if I still have a car kicking around, we'll fly it around there a few practice laps or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna wish you guys a good night. Happy Father's Day, and hope you guys have a good season.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So once again, I'd like to thank Jaden and Lucas for joining us tonight on the Feeney podcast. And I was talking with them after we finished recording there before I filmed this outro. They are going to do a giveaway, and it's going to be who can correctly answer where Jaden won his first pro late model race, and they will win one of the brand new Redline 13 pro late model T-shirts. To be part of this contest, you have to message them. If you message me, I'll forward you to messaging them. But at the same time, please, please, please support racers, keeping the racers out there, buying merchandise, coming to the racetracks and stuff like that. APC Quick Series, Peterborough Speedway was packed, but let's try to keep these places packed week in, week out because we don't have many racetracks left. A lot have closed down, and if you like watching racing or motorsports, you as a fan have to be supportive of the racing and help. If you help the racers be out there, we can be out there every week. Racing is an expensive sport slash hobby. You can message Jaden and Lucas to get merchandise from them. If you like to support other drivers, I can link you up with them to support their merchandise. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can message me. We have new podcast numbers coming out. Let me know if you want me to make t-shirts. I can make t-shirts. We are working on getting some stickers made up for some race cars and stuff like that to slam them on. We are working. What else am I working on? If you want to support my driving, I have tumblers, t-shirts, and all that stuff on the way. Keychains, all made by Taylor to you. Once again, you can message me about those. But in the end, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This little podcast is starting to grow. We're starting to make it or break it kind of thing. And in a final note, we are going to be looking for a co-host. I have been talking with some other people, and I've decided that with some influence that a co-host would be beneficial to the podcast. As much as I like doing this and talking to drivers and stuff like that, sometimes a conflicting personality or a second personality would be beneficial to talking with guests and getting them to answer some questions, et cetera, et cetera. So if you are interested, I'm going to put an open casting call. First of things is you have to be flexible for schedules for recording, because most of the time this is done after I'm working on a car, et cetera, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, depending on when me and the guests are available for stuff like this. We do this for zero money. I get nothing out of this for financials and et cetera like that. This is out of pure enjoyment. So I want somebody who does motorsports every week or goes and supports motorsports every week. It could be someone that's going to derbies every week and can maybe update everybody on that, or goes to drag races every week, road course racing, or et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to pick the first person that says, hey, I want to be in. What I'm going to do is, I think, in future episodes, I'm going to pick down to a select few people who apply, I guess is the right word. And I'm going to do a couple trial episodes with each of those select people and see how chemistry is during intros and stuff like that. And yeah, that's how we're going to find our co-host. So yeah, if you're interested, message me on Facebook or text me if you have my number, etc. I'm going to put a post up on Facebook and stuff like that too. But yeah, this also could include if I go to racetracks and stuff like that when I'm not racing. It could be something like we're doing a film live on location, such as like what Cam and Graydon do or John and Megan do and stuff like that. All of our podcasts, between the True North Racing podcast and the Stickers Discuss podcast, and yeah, we all work together to try to make the community grow to help racing and stuff like that. None of us are trying to outdo one another, etc. We all try to work together to make each and every one better. Cam and John are the main reasons this podcast started. I kind of got pushed a little bit to start it, and it was as a joke. We started mentioning maybe I should do one, and then it turned to let's get some graphics done and let's start the podcast, and hopefully everyone's liking it so far. And you can never make everybody happy, but we're hoping that at least for 45 minutes or so of your time, you enjoy the conversation. Once again, if you have any improvements that we can do on the podcast, then maybe bring on different guests, maybe we can make the episodes shorter, longer, let me know. Until then, we'll see you at the racetrack or wherever we might find motorsports. Maybe we'll be at a rallycross or track day or something soon. You see us, come free, feel free to say hi. Once again, have yourselves a good week.